Spinning right now. Hey, everybody. Got some of my favorite agents. We've got Sandy from Myrtle Beach and Charlotte. And we've got John from Tucson, Arizona. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are
All right.
you?
That's where you would
Happy to be
take
back.
it. I'm doing awesome. So I have a quick funny story. So Eric, and I hope he's watching this from Northern Virginia, was in town last week to visit his daughter, who is 25 years old and lives in downtown Wilmington. And I met him for the first time face to face, and we had dinner. He and his wife and Mark and I. And he said, I've been watching your lives that you do, and well, you cuss a lot. And I was like, really? That's your takeaway? I was like, so I'm not cussing. That is my goal. So if you hear me, let me be quiet.
I thought you were pretty good. I'd have thought you didn't cuss on here, but I don't even notice.
Well, because you know my real life.
You need a swear jar. That'll stop you real quick. Add
Yes,
money to it every time you swear by accident.
That is funny. I need to do something. But anyway, we are talking about designations and what designations you should get and why. And then part 2 is going to be on database. How often to call and what do you call about? So who wants to talk about designations? Who wants to get started?
John, you go first.
I'm happy to talk about designations. Ironically, one of my first conferences I ever went to was, I think it was R4 in Orlando, and I met Sandy, and she's like the queen of the name tag that has all of the ribbons attached with every designation known to man. So I've got a lot, but not compared to Sandy, ironically. But I said, let's talk about it today because CRS conference celebrations this week. And that's my favorite designation, the certified residential specialist.
Right. And that's where I met you, John. Is that where I met you years ago?
Yeah, we met, I think, a couple of years ago at the one in Phoenix. Yeah,
Yes,
that was the last one I went to. I haven't been back, so it's going to be fun to go again. Las
So
Vegas.
why do you like CRS? I'm CRS too, but why do you like it, John? And I think Sandy is too.
Yeah, I like it. I think what's cool about it is they make it a little harder to get. So you actually have to show you are in full-time production consistently for, depending, there's a few tracks to go, but you actually have to prove your sales so that you can show you really are a residential specialist. You really know what you're talking about. You're in it. You're in the thick of it. You know what's going on. And then with it, you have to take quite a number of classes to get your designation.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think the quality of the classes that they offer is just second to none. The instructors are other CRS designees. They have, most of them have had their designation for a long time, and they're given back teaching, and they've got awesome practices, creative ideas for how to grow your business, how to offer your clients the highest level of service. So it's really cool to be a part of that group of people too, where you get to network and learn from other people that are really in it. I think Sandy probably told me to get it a few years ago, where she was like, if you want to focus on one, get this one, because these people are the best people to know and the best people to learn from.
That's exactly right. And I agree with you on the education. That first one, that one in Phoenix that I met you in, that was the first one I went to too. And then I went to one last year with Sandy in Atlanta, but I'll take the most notes. I mean, I've been in real estate 17 years, and it's not that I am not teachable. It's just hard to find something I haven't learned, but I took like 10 pages of notes, which is pretty amazing. So everybody out there, tell me what designations you have and why. And then Sandy, what about you? Why do you like CRS?
Okay, so I've been in a CRS. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I've been in the car for 8 hours. So I've been a CRS member since like 2008 or 9, a really long time. And I'll tell you, before I went to RE/MAX conferences, I went to CRS conferences, and I was blown away by the caliber of real estate agent that attended. Okay, so first of all, CRS agents are like the top 2% of agents in the nation. Yeah. They earn $60,000 or $70,000 more than your average RE/MAX agent earns. So it's like somewhere around $150,000-$160,000 a year average designee commission income. And then like I would go to these events, and they're smaller, CRS celebration is smaller, and John was right. You have to pony up your sales. You have to prove it. You have to send like MLS sheets and everything. You have to take a bunch of classes about everything under the sun, investors and luxury. And so once you get in this group, they really are, it is agents around the country that are really closely tight knit, and they only want to refer to each other.
I was going to say that. Yeah, the referrals is huge.
Yeah, the referral thing is huge because they want to know that you're as good as they are, right?
Yes.
They're not going to, they want a full-time, they don't want a part-time somebody that sells 3 houses. So very few agents are in CRS. It's very hard to get, takes a long time. Yeah, and Chris just said CLHMS, that's a luxury designation, and a lot of agents don't go after it because it costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money.
You have to pay for the yearly membership.
But pay for it yearly to keep it. But yeah, with CRS, I'm not putting any other conferences down, but I would just say, and I think I told John this, when I went to CRS, when I went to other conferences, they're like, why don't you go to the classes? Why don't you attend all these awesome classes? I'm like, well, these classes are beginner. They're not advanced. Like CRS classes are advanced. Yeah. So if you already sell 20 or 30 or 40 homes and you want to sell 100 homes, you go to CRS classes because they're not going to teach you how to make a Google My Business page. They assume you already have one and now you want it to be on steroids. Or they assume you have a YouTube channel and now you're going to grow it to 20,000 followers or whatever.
So to be clear, like this whole thing that I've been doing for 3 years with StreamYard and these, like having you guys on, and both of you've been on multiple times, thank you, but is because I learned it at CRS 3 years ago when I met John, literally. But I do have the luxury designation that Chris was just talking about. I do have that, and I love that one too. Actually, those are the 2 conferences that I love the most. They are smaller conferences and packed with information.
I used to be the CRS education director for North Carolina. So I had the amazing opportunity to serve and also put together the classes across the state. So because I was putting on the courses, I could attend all of them without paying, right? So that was really
that's what I was the treasurer for North Carolina last year.
Yes. John, aren't you?
I was a network director last year. I've stepped back this year.
Okay.
Last year, I was the network director for Arizona. Yeah, it's super cool. It's fun to be plugged in, and it gives you more of a kick in the pants to when you're that much more involved to actually show up to more of the events, especially. Then you're driving to ones that are on the other side of the state in other cities, getting to meet other agents and
that's right.
Network more. Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, let's talk about CLHMS too, because that was a good comment. Those were like the first 2, I think, that I was like jonesing to get. And CLHMS, another one, you have to prove yourself. You got to sell houses in your price point.
Well, and there's the marketing tidbit of it. Like I took John, I think I saw you there too in Texas and Dallas.
Yeah.
He was just following you out.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right on.
But the marketing aspect and just ways of really elevating your presentations and elevating your MLS, how you put it in there, the pictures you put in there, the verbiage, it's just, I thought it really took it to the next open houses, and how one lady was talking about bringing candies and like this really nice box of candies to these brokers, right, to their offices, and you would open up and inside of it would be like a really pretty elevated invitation to the open house. Like little ideas like that I thought super easy, but how cute and effective. Mm-hmm. What about y'all? Sandy, are you designated in luxury?
Yes, I actually just got back in October. I got the guild designation. So that's like the next step. And I think you can only keep it until you keep selling $3 or $4 million houses.
Yeah, I got the guild, but I didn't get the elite. The guild,
that one's new, right? Yeah,
what?
That one's the next one.
That's the next one, and that one I haven't been able to get yet. It's a little bit harder. I think at 2 million or above, and so many in so many months. That's
we're like competitors here. It's so funny. We're all in different markets, but we want to get that elusive thing, right? And,
well, I think it's about growing. I think it's about growing yourself, taking your business to the next level, really helping your clients get them to the next level. Make sure you're doing everything, making sure that you're stepping up.
Yeah, it's about knowing it's just knowing more and growing yourself too. And I think anyone, like some of the people make fun of me, you guys. I mean, I know John was talking about that long ribbon. I attach all the ribbons. I put my heart and soul into those designations. They took me like 20 years of my life, right?
Yeah.
And so I add them all. Like, and they're so long. People ask me if I trip over it and everything else. But honestly, like, I'm proud of all the hard work and dedication to my career. And I tell people, like, this is my master's, my PhD. Like, I go down the ribbons and say, look, other people can get black belts and green belts and whatever at their companies. And this is what that is for us. Like, the more you know, the better you can service your client, the better marketing, the better strategies, more negotiation. I cannot tell you how many classes, CRS especially, I learned investment from Tom. I forgot his name. He's like the baseball guy. And I learned strategies, like marketing strategies and negotiations from those classes that I'll never forget. So.
So what about GRI? That is one that I haven't gotten yet. And that is on my list for this year, is to try to get GRI. What do you guys think about it?
It's on my to-do list too. I think it's a more time-consuming one. I've had a harder time finding the classes are mostly not being held in Tucson, so I have to commute to Phoenix for them, and I am too busy selling houses right now.
Yeah. Well, we need to do that too, right?
The point of that, I think, and CRS, I did the same thing. They want you, Graduated Realtors Institute is what that is. And I feel like that's the master's degree. And then CRS was like the PhD. But the master's degree, you can get no matter what your GRI, no matter where you're at. But those courses, well, back when I did them, you had to go in person, and it was like a 2-day event, and you had to stay in a hotel and all this kind of stuff. And you got to meet brokers from other parts of the state. So if I went to Wilmington for GRI, and I actually think I probably took a class in GRI in Wilmington, and I did one in Greensboro, then I met those agents in those areas. And sure enough, they're not going to sell in Charlotte.
They're not going to sell. Connections.
Yeah. So you made connections back then. This was way before the recession even. And I had all those people to ask questions to. There were some of the people in those courses that had 10 plus years experience. And I was young, like you, John. I was young and new and fresh.
And motivated. And you're still motivated. And you're still young. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So then any other ones? What else do you have, Sandy?
ABR, SFR, CDPE. I don't even know. Like
what's your favorite? So we've talked about 2, we've talked about 3. What's one more that you would say this is a must do?
So accredited buyer representation is killer. And I think right now we need it more than ever. And literally the whole entire 2-day class, I don't think it's 2 days anymore, but the whole class revolves around showing your value as a buyer agent and going into the buyer agency in detail and selling your value. And I remember at the time that I took it, there was a lady, they gave us an example, and she was teaching, or she was doing buyer agency, and she was taking a $500 retainer fee just to get into her car.
Oh, wow.
Her buyer clients. And she did the whatever percentage she did, regardless. And I remember them telling us that back then there was 18% interest rates and the market was really hard. And that if that person could people could pay her $500 just to
she showed her value, right? You're right.
Yes, that they would trust her to guide them and find them a home, and whatever was offered on the MLS, she got the difference of it. And
awesome.
I remember going through that class thinking, like, this is how I'm going to get this in front of people. And I remember being new, and someone would come relocating to Lake Norman, and I would go meet them at the first house, and I'd be like, here, sign this buyer agency agreement. And they would be like, what?
Scaring them. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember sticking all the papers in front of the person, like within 5 minutes of meeting them. Like,
that's funny. That's funny.
Things are so different.
Yes, right. I remember doing that too, but it didn't take too many times with people looking at me like I was crazy that I was like, okay, never mind.
Like somebody said, you don't want to it's like asking for someone's hand in marriage, like right after you meet with them. They
Yeah.
don't know what this is
That's
about.
right. You don't, yeah, I agree with you. So then what about your database? How often do you contact them? How do you organize them? What do you say and when?
Oh my gosh. So I'll just sum it up because that's a lot. There's so much. We could go down rabbit holes all day. But database. So I currently have 33,000 people in our database. And we're taking in hundreds of leads and new ones every single month. And I've actually had someone tell me, like, you can stop buying leads at this point. You have so much data that you could legitimately call several thousand people a month and just keep calling them continuously to follow up until they convert into a sale or a buy. Or maybe they already bought. I have some leads going back 17 years.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think the first thing that anyone should do is just have the data in something, whether it's an Excel sheet or a follow-up boss or a KV core or whatever. You need to have your database exist in a place where you can access it. And I think most people are overwhelmed. You can make it really overwhelming, or you can just divide it up and conquer and do 10 a day, 20 a day,
So
and just go down the list.
Let's talk more of your database being people that are in your phone. People that already know, love, trust you, past clients, friends, family.
So sphere. So like I follow a mixture of Buffini principle and some other techniques that I've kind of learned over the years. And my clients would be weirded out if I called them on the phone, like past clients of mine. If I just chimed in and said, "Hey, what's up? It's Sandy," they'd be like, "Are you okay?" Like they'd be worried like something happened, right? So for me, my personal touch and the way that I come across and my personality is video, bomb videos. I've been doing them for years. I send out quarterly bomb videos, and I also send note card, like little, some people call them send out cards. I use AM cards. It actually syncs with my CRM. So it makes it a lot easier. So I don't have to do a lot of steps by re-entering addresses. And I like to send something every single year, whether it's Christmas card, and then we invite all those people to my 4 client events. I think this year we tailored it down to 3 client events. So we're doing Easter pictures, family pictures with a Easter bunny. And then we're doing our Christmas party at the end of the year with Santa. And then we're doing our free pizza giveaway during football season. So with that being said, like I just invite them to things and send them cards in the mail, and then a quarterly like video of me saying, "Hey, what's up? Like this is what's going on with my family." I do feel like sometimes I'm losing connection with them because I'm not, unless they respond back to me, I don't know what's going on with them because I'm not specifically calling all of them and reaching out. I will say though, and maybe you're the same, John and Jennifer, you guys might have the similar experience. Over the last like 5 years, since social media is so big, a lot of those clients and past clients in my sphere that give me a lot of business and referrals, they watch my social media all the time and they're always commenting, and we're talking a lot on DMs and Messenger and all the other places. We're having all these communications, and even clients that have my phone number that bought and sold with me, they will like Facebook message me when they want to ask something. So I think the more present that I am on social media, the more they connect with me, and then they comment. And then I comment on their stuff. So even though I might not speak with them, like I see that their kid just won a cheer competition, or I see that I'm congratulating them on losing 10 pounds, or, so we're just talking in other ways somehow.
So John, what about you? What are you doing with your database? Like your sphere of influence?
Yeah, I'm not like a big caller. It depends on who it is, but I think like VIPs, like top 20 or so, top 25, I definitely am trying to touch base with them at least once a month. And some of those people I'm calling, some of them I'm actually going to lunch or coffee or seeing at the gym, or, there's like a group of friends that, are, also people that refer me business that we see frequently.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like my whole database gets my Christmas card every year. I still try to touch base with people, and I try to be careful not to add my clients on Facebook or accept them until after the transaction's closed, because, sometimes things can be tricky and relationships can be strained. But even still, at sometimes I'll be friends with the client through Facebook before the transaction's over. But I will be like commenting because I want to see what they're doing and they want to see what I'm
Yeah.
doing. And some people are happy to be on the phone and I will talk to them. And some people are like, I'll reach out to you, but I know exactly what you're doing. And like, I mean, all of my clients are like stalking me on Facebook anyway. And they're like, oh, your wife's so cute. Your dog's so cute, this and that. So I'm like, I know it's working. So I definitely try to be intentional and proactive though, to mix up my algorithm so I can actually like see all of the people. It's not just like the top 20 that Facebook's decided that I need to see, and actually go and comment and like, and I want to see what they're doing. I want to see what their lives are about. So that way, you know, the house I sold them 5 years ago, when they call me, they're like, you know, whole life has changed and I am not completely in the dark. I actually have seen what's going on. So that's kind of what I'm doing. But I know you're a big time caller. You're great on the phones.
Yeah, you know, I make connections for life, and I tell everybody that, and I'm a strong believer of that. So whenever, I mean, I call, they get my Christmas card. Usually, it's usually a newsletter about the team, about personal life, about everything. Usually I do that in January. And then we, you know, and then this year we're doing, I'm sending out lottery tickets, you know, for St. Patrick's Day. And then we're doing an Easter egg hunt where we do family pictures and Easter eggs and an Easter bunny. And we do lunch. It's like a 3-hour event. We'll have bouncy house. We'll have face painting. Like, it's a big event. Usually everybody of all ages, even my older clients, retired clients, will come, which is awesome. And then we do, in June, we meet at a brewery. So I try to do something with all ages, right? So I try to do family events, Easter, and then a brewery to anybody that doesn't have kids or might maybe need a little hour away from kids. And then we'll do a pie giveaway in November, and we do a dog costume party in October. This year, we're going to try it in September, which is super fun. And all that money goes to Pender County Animal Shelter, which is one of our few non-kill shelters that we have. So it's like everybody brings their dogs all dressed up and we have trophies. I mean, it's fun, but I do call them. And so I think easy things that anybody could do if you don't have the money to throw a party, whatever. I think, you know, beginning of the year, I usually email out a CMA to everybody, and then I'll call them to make sure they got it. And if they have any questions on it, or if I need to make changes, it's just a good connection. I think birthdays are a really good connection. I've got all my clients, friends, family, got them all set up in my birthday calendar. I'll hand do birthday cards, and then closing dates. I think that's it. So we do house anniversary cards. I think that's another really easy touch for me.
That is awesome. You're like all the stuff on steroids. I don't even know how you do it. You're such a hustler.
You see all my wrinkles? I'm tired.
I have like a hard time doing 3, and you're like doing like 7, 8 events a year.
Well, so
and
you have to understand my personality, right? Like when I taught school, if you told me if you do this, this, and this, your kids will do better, I would do this, this, and this times 5. Right. When I got into real estate, somebody said open houses. I exploded on open houses. So it's probably a faulty personality because it is like on steroids and I'm tired all the time. But I do love my past clients, and it's 100% my business. So yeah. And to be clear, if I find out that they didn't use me, I'm quick to fire them too as my friend.
What do you say to them when you're calling them?
A lot of times I'm just calling to see how you're doing and check in. The January one, I think that's really easy. Hey, I just emailed you a CMA. Go through it. Let me know if I made any mistakes. Maybe there's something you've done to your house that I don't know about. And I think that's a really easy call. I will send out these lottery tickets for St. Patrick's Day. And then I always say, call me or text me if you've won, you know, or post it on Facebook.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
A lot of people will post it on Facebook. A lot of times I'm calling, I mean, sometimes I'm just, so on my way home, I do try to call 3 people a day, every day. And that is also agents. So agents are in my database because I have a huge referral network. So I try to make sure I'm in touch with them as well. So yeah. But I think it's kind of an easy call. Or sometimes I'll send out like our concierge service, which is like 10 pages long with painters, electrician, dog walkers. I mean, literally anybody you want. And I'll send that out and then call them and say, hey, did you get it? Do you have anybody else I can add to it? Do you have any, you know?
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I need to do that, like send out my vendor list.
Yes,
I did it a couple years ago and people really loved it. But yeah, I never, it didn't dawn on me to call and follow up that they received it, right? Because sometimes these email providers, like even now that they said they were going to quit all the spamming, you don't know how many actually make it to the other side. And,
well, it's just an easy,
sometimes,
yeah. I like the did you
rank
get
or whatever.
calls.
Huh?
I like the did you get calls. Hey, I emailed this. Did you get it? I think that's an easy, it's an easy conversation.
Yeah.
And then it was funny because I did what?
And you're adding value. You're giving them something that's super helpful.
right.
And two, I feel like, that's smart because I have clients reach out to me all the time. And I tell them all throughout the transaction, I'm like, if you need someone, like, doesn't matter what it is. If I don't have them, I will find you a good one. If I don't already have them, which is unlikely, I've got like 16 cleaners in my phone and I can tell you which ones are good at what and which ones not to call and which ones to call and like you name it. So I'm like, I probably can like putting it somewhere that's organized would be, a next step, but I need to get organized. That's not my strong suit, but I've got like people reach out to me all the time, past clients. Like I had someone who I hadn't talked to in a while. I sold a house to 2 years ago and she was like, she'd used my painter. I have a great painter. And she was like, hey, I lost his number. And then we got to have a conversation because I was like, here's his number again. How are you? How's the house?
Yeah. I think that's really good. And my list, I don't know about yours, but my list is always revolving because if somebody doesn't have a good experience, I take them off of my vendor list quickly. Mm-hmm. But I'm always asking people like, hey, I see that you just paint, especially when I do my CMAs, right? They say, hey, I just had my floors redone. Did you use somebody on my vendor list? You didn't? Did you like who you used? Who did you use? I'll add them to my vendor list,
Oh, that's a good conversation. That's smart.
Yeah. Right?
Jennifer, do you use like any sort of dialer or are you tracking like who you're calling or when
I use Mojo Dialer.
So you just put them all into your dial.
I put them all into my sphere of influence and then I just rotate through them.
Boom.
For me. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I have a dialer, but I use it for something else. And I never thought about just like attacking it that way. I actually used to cheat. I used to cheat and use slide broadcast, which is like, I don't know, a couple cents a voicemail. And I would make a voicemail that said, hey, this is Sandy, Merry Christmas, blah, blah, blah. And then I would just send it to like 800 people.
So I use Agent Legend like that, but I don't use it for my sphere of influence. I do it on, like I too have 33,000 leads and got 94 in the past week. And I just send it to all those people just trying to mass attack. But I don't do that.
What do you say to the?
It depends. It depends on which group of people I've targeted that week. I mean, sometimes, and it's different. A lot of times, see, I'm telling you, I like the did you get? Hey, I sent you a list of open houses this weekend. Did you get it? Call me if you have any questions. Send you a list of the coming soons. Did you get it?
Mm-hmm.
And are they like, who is this lady that just left me a voicemail?
Yeah. So when I did Agent Legend years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, my conversion rate was really high. But now I think it just aggravates people because it comes in as a different phone number and then it drops into their voicemail. And I've kind of scaled back on using it because I didn't feel like it was getting a great return.
I think people figured out what it was because I remember like one of the first classes I took like 5 years ago. I was at another company and it was like a top agent from another state and she came and was talking about slide dial and I was like, this is like diabolical. Right. How does this even work? And then because I would have had no idea, but now I get slide dialed by like lenders that are trying to get my business all the time. They're like, I'm like, just call me if you want my business. And like, I could not, and they kept switching numbers. This one guy in our market, and he's a great lender. I just, I'm very loyal to a fantastic lender that I've been working with for a long time. And I had to email his assistant like once a month for 3 months because every like 2 weeks I'd get a new one. And I'm like, dude,
stop. Well, the worst thing now is the AI that calls you usually for insurance. I'm like, I can't even tell you to stop calling me. You're just a robot calling me. It's
Well, they
frustrating.
actually outlawed it. So if you didn't sign up or opt in on anything, it's actually starting. I think it's March 1st. Robocalling is illegal.
I'm thankful.
DC or something. I saw something about it. So when you use AI at this point, you better have some kind of opt-in or proof that they know that they're getting a call from like a bot or whatever.
That's right. But I try to make, genuine connections, and I might mask call everybody about different things because I don't know what they need at that moment. But I mean, one of my things that makes me aggravated is I'll tell lenders, like, if you want, because 6 months ago, 500 lenders were calling you every day. And I'm like, if you want to be my lender of choice, take the time to tell me when there's any big changes in the market. Whatever you're seeing, send me a text message. And I had one lender that had been trying to get in touch with me for 6 months. And I've been blowing him off. And I ran into him at the airport. He was actually the seat right behind me, which was kind of embarrassing. And so he hits me up as we're getting luggage. He's like, hey, I've been trying to get in touch with you and whatever. And I'm listening to him. And I said, well, here's what you need to do. Call me next week and I'll meet you out for a drink. And I said, and he was like, yeah, I'll have my assistant call you. And I was like, no, you call me, not your assistant. You pick up the phone and call. You want my business, then you call me. And he had his assistant call me. And I literally was like, I will never do business with you. Take me off your phone list. Right? Because I think like sometimes when you get too much animated, not animated, automated. Animated means something different. Sorry.
Well, in some ways, when people scale themselves, it's great, right? Because you can handle more business. But in other ways, when you scale, you lose touch with your personal touch with people. So I can see it because like I'm a broker and I recruit sometimes, and I absolutely can understand why people would be mad if a recruiter was calling for me, right? So generally, I don't have the recruiter calling for me. I'm making the calls because if I'm too lazy, like agents think, if you're too lazy to call me, you're going to hire.
Then you don't really want, yes.
And you don't want me, right? So if someone else is making the appointment and they really want your $880 million of business or whatever, then they need to put some effort into it. You need to see, right. Well, because also that might translate to your clients as well. You want to see, how important you are, and because you're their client, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, I think this was a good session, and I did go to the doctor, and nobody really cares, but it was my 1 month checkup, and everything was really good. So, yeah.
Yay.
Glad you're healthy.
Yeah.
Good for you. I'm glad.
Yes, me too.
I hope you're feeling better too.
I wasn't this weekend, but today, definitely. I have highs and lows. He said that was expected. So, but
you inspired me. I knew you had that surgery, and I was so stressed out for you. And I was like, kind of down in the dumps like that 1 week or whatever. Yeah. And I looked on your social media, and there you were working out at like 6 o'clock in the morning on your treadmill or stepper or whatever it was. And I was like, holy crap, I need to get my butt up and get walking and get something. Like if she just had surgery and she's on her freaking machine.
So that is the one thing that the doctor said today, because he was like, are you still walking? And I'm like, and sometimes. And he's like, 3 times a day. He's like, it's a non-negotiable. He's like, everything else, I will negotiate with you. He was like, but the walking, 3 times a day, 30 minutes each time. And so I've got to get back into that.
Well, I bought the walking pad. I'm standing on it. I'm not walking. I bought a deer run. Walking pad. I think it was on sale for like $169. And I get on this sucker and I walk 3 miles a day.
See, that's
on my laptop. And
I bought my wife one. She wanted one for her birthday or something, but it fits perfectly under our couch, and that's where it stays.
I was thinking about one in the office.
Bring it for Jennifer.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You want one?
I was thinking that I could, because I'll get on my phone and get my headset on, and I pace when I'm making my calls. And I thought, well, if I had one of those, I could just do it in my office and walk and talk and get multitask, get it all done.
Yeah. We got to just put you back in conference shape so you can keep coming to the conferences.
Yeah, so I can't go to Celebration, but I will be at R4, and I'm bringing my daughter Grayson with me for multiple reasons, but one of the reasons is so she can help me with the luggage because I still can't pick up anything. So she can help
Oh,
me
I'm
out.
so jelly. I'm gonna miss R4 this year, and you
Are
guys
you
are all
missing it?
going.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna be with my kids on spring break.
Well,
on a,
that's important. Yeah.
on a
And I
cruise
usually bring
ship.
my team. Yeah, they can't go for the same reason. My kids are out of school, so I've got a little bit more flexibility.
So
Yeah.
you not bringing your team this year, Jennifer?
No, they don't want to come because of spring break. Spring break's the very next week. So most of them are going on vacation for spring break, and they don't want to miss 2 weeks back to
Fair
back.
enough. Sandy, are you going to send any of your team?
So yeah, Nicole's going.
Nice.
And she's got some people she's gonna go meet with and go to dinners and all the good stuff.
Nice.
And yeah, everyone else has a ton of pendings. So right now we have 23 pendings and 21 listings. So we're really
Wow,
really
that's kicking butt. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We worked really hard all the way through October, November. We got a little bit of a scare with our Zillow Flex program, and I got a little concerned, and we're still good now, but I was so worried. I just don't want to be a slave to big portals and leads I cannot control. So I went all in with Google pay-per-click for my team, and I just kept telling them, like, we've got to start something now because it's going to be good. We've got to get this business lined up now. When all the other agents are asleep and taking off for holidays, we need to work harder.
That's right.
Or otherwise you guys are going to be hungry January and February, and it's going to be crickets. And sure enough, it was weird like 2 months ago.
Yeah, I would agree.
And, and so now I couldn't be happier with how well they've done. And we're going to keep going. So
that's kick ass. Awesome.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
I mean, I just posted, I worked 61 days in a row right now.
That's good.
We're still going.
Yeah, you're still going. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming this week. I appreciate y'all so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, absolutely. I always love seeing y'all's beautiful faces.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you did. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. And
All
everybody can tune in next week. We'll be back next week. So 5:00 Eastern.
Sounds good.
Awesome. I'll see you guys later. John, I'll see you at R4.
Okay, see you at R4.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Oh, and next week, I do have a surprise. A lot of agents are coming to Wilmington. So we are hosting a live event. I think there's like 5 agents coming to Wilmington. So it'll be super fun.
That'll be awesome. Hopefully I'll see you online.
Yes.
I'll be flying back. So
where are you going?
Celebration is this weekend,
Oh,
but
you are
I'll
going to
come back
Celebration.
until Monday.
Yeah. Well, then I'll see you in a couple days, Sandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
awesome.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Well, y'all have fun. I'll talk to you guys soon.